I was in LA. Look, right now I live conflicted because I have all this comedy knowledge, you know, and I love to sit with people and help them. But the problem is I have to decipher, and it's very hard to tell somebody this. And it's very hard to charge somebody money for this. When you pass on this type of stuff, you're doing it as a labor of love. And there's too much of that in LA, that people are inexperienced. There's too much of that in New York. There's too much of that anywhere, where people are inexperienced and they teach workshops or something like that.
Yeah.
And it frustrates you because the most frustrating thing is to want help. You don't want somebody to do it for me. Eric, I don't want somebody to do it for me. I just need guidance and help, and you're not going to find that a lot of time. You're not going to find quality guidance. And I know from stand-up. With stand-up, I went through 20 agents. And then I realized, guess who the best agent was? Me. So I would hustle roles, you know, based on, what do you got? Oh, Joy, I went for this audition. They're looking for you at this audition. I wouldn't even tell my agent. I would just do it on my own, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's a waste of time. But what I'm trying to get to is, it's so weird when people are looking to do something. The quickest path is to just do it themselves and that opens up those doors. I enjoyed the blogging. When the blogging first came out, that was the first storytelling I had on MySpace. I would do the Monday morning blog, way before podcasts came up. You got to find them. The first 5 of them were god-awful, because I had never written. The only thing I had ever written was, I'm driving down the road, and all of a sudden I think about a joke, and you write on a piece of napkin, like keywords and the jokes, so you remember it. But I hadn't written longhand, you know, like the whole thing. Oh my God, I remember like 2 of them going, and people were like, Joey, you got to go back to school. Your pronunciation, you're not stopping, too many commas. It was god-awful. It's a process. You're just not going to get up off the boat and fucking write. And I realized, honest to God, whatever advance they gave us for this book, I already spent mine. I already gave it to Jean Perret and all those other writers that wrote how to write books. I gave Samuel French $60,000 easy over the years with comedy books and comedy writing books and how to write comedy. And the thing is, if you're going to write a book and try to sell it, at least I would write the book. I would buy the book, $25, read 2 chapters, but I would miss what they were saying. To write, you have to write every day. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. You're not going to learn how to write. It's like jujitsu. You can watch all the instructional videos you want. Eventually, you're going to have to get on your back and start fucking wrestling motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with writing. And I didn't know. I would write comedy thinking, I'm doing what Jean Perret told me and all these other great writers. If you're not writing is you don't even need a book. You don't even need to buy Jean Perret's book or Erica Florentine's book on how to write. You don't need that. If you write every day, if you get a fucking notebook and just go, I'm going to write a page every goddamn day, in 5 years, you'll become a great writer. It's all pointed at you.
I fully agree with you. I always say, when people come to me and say, you know, I really want to learn how to write on my own, and I want you to give me the guidance, but I don't want you to actually do the content for me. Just give me any advice you have. And I always start with that. Just write. Just even if it makes no sense, just put pen to paper or type it or whatever you want to do with it. Just write and do it every single day. And I'll be honest, I've been writing my entire career, and I still take writers' workshops. I'm doing one currently. Because it's helpful to continue to write every single day and then also get people's feedback. Like, I'm always doing those sorts of things unrelated to my projects because it helps. It really, really helps. It's the only way that you're going to be able to start making any sort of progress. But I agree, there's tons and tons of information out there, how to be a writer. And
you'll spend $1 million in books. How to be a comic, how to be a musician, how to be a guitarist, how to draw.
Yeah.
You will drop millions of dollars buying and searching for the answer.
Now there's online courses that people are selling.
Yes.
Hard, like hotcakes.
Like what?
Like hotcakes. They're just going.
Really?
How to draw, how to act, how to whatever.
Now, when I was a kid, you joined the fucking drawing contest. Remember? You drew a picture of a parrot, and if you won $500. And no, you didn't win any money. They sent you $500 in Etzels and
All the different shit.
Trust me, I drew that parrot a few times. That's why I became a comic. You know what I'm saying? It's great. I love learning. I love reading about somebody. Like I always love fucking the Spielberg book on writing. You know, I think that's just to hear the Carrie story.
That's
Like,
Stephen King.
all those books. I would get jealous. I would buy those books, read them, and then fuck you, Stephen King. You know what I'm saying? Like, you motherfucker. And it's writing. You know, what college did you go to for writing?
I went to University of Delaware. So
No shit.
and I actually wanted to be a New York Times journalist. I wanted to write for the New York Times. So I was, on the path. That's what I really wanted to do. And it's funny because no matter how hard you think you're learning and excelling and how hard the courses are and you think you're growing, my first job at a local newspaper took me a year to be like, I can't even do local. I could never do New York Times. I never thought about the fact that I'd have to actually ask people very difficult questions. And I don't have the personality to do that. So things like, I should have thought about this in college when I'm so adamant on this New York Times career path that, let's say somebody passed away in the community. Tragically, a teenager, they would send me to the parents' house to knock on the front door and get a quote from the parents a day after the child died. And I am just, my personality, I'm just not cut out for that. There's certain things that I can do, but that was just a no for me. So I worked at that newspaper for a year, and at the year mark, I would come home crying. And I'm like, I had to go stalk the brother of this girl who just died, who did not want to speak with me. And I get it now, looking back. I'm like, of course that's part of being a reporter. But I knew a year in, I'm like, if I can't do this, there's no way. I have no shot at the New York Times. Literally no shot. Yeah, I just have no shot unless they're having me write, features on something. Yeah. So then I was like, oh, maybe I'll write for magazines. And at the time, magazines were starting to fold too. They have some great online magazines now, but it's just not the same as it used to be. So
it's so funny. It's so funny that you were saying that about I fucking forgot. I gotta stop smoking pot in the mornings. But it's weird how you think you want to do something. This is why we were just having this conversation last night with some parents. This gentleman was telling me how he's really fearful about his daughter going. Their kids are a little older.